Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Rumors of Heresy. My name is Adam, or potentially it's Zareth. I haven't decided on the branding of my name yet on this channel, which is crazy, but I am working on the branding. In fact, there's going to be a lot of changes on this channel. You might have already noticed that I'm using a new logo. That logo may change, in fact, but one way or another, we'll be doing a lot of that work in the coming days because I'll be putting up more videos on this channel as well. And so it would mean the world to me, folks, if you would hit that thumbs up button, like, subscribe, comment, please, ding the bell if you want more videos like this, if you want to be notified when new videos come out. It would help me a lot, guys. Getting to 1,000 subs is a huge milestone, a very important one for content creators on YouTube. It would mean a lot to me, guys, so please do that. If you want to find the list that I took to this tournament, you can find that in the video description. And you should just know that the data slate had not been released, or it was released, but it wasn't instituted at this tournament. So this is all the old rules for Infernus, without having the extra AP, all of that stuff. So just as a heads up, and before we jump all the way into the video, I wanted to give a huge shout out to the guy who paints my army, Frog and Bear Studios. Guys, go follow him on Instagram if you want a commission. It is very reasonable pricing for extremely high level painting. Go check him out, folks. Video description, you can find Frog and Bear Studios. Really awesome stuff, guys. At least go follow him on Instagram and see his work. You're eventually going to want some commission work done for some awesome character that you have or whatever. He doesn't just paint green really well, he does a really nice job on all of it, and if you ask him, he'll even magnetize your stuff. So go check that out, folks, in the video description. Go follow him on Instagram. Eventually I'll have my own Instagram that you guys can follow me on as well for tournament updates, etc. But that'll be later. We're working on branding, as I said. Anyways, go check out Frog and Bear Studios. You won't be disappointed, guys. You really won't. Amazing work. You can see just a little bit of that art in this video and in all my other videos that'll also be there. So let's get into it, though, folks. So here's my list that I took to this tournament, folks. It's kind of a skew list. This is the one that I've been practicing with lately. There's not much to do with killing tanks, frankly, except if they're close. So the trouble I have with this list, the trouble that this list has in general, is trying to take out those like heavy armor, high toughness lists that have a ton of tanks that shoot from a long distance. If they want to get close within hugging range, that's kind of what I say, like, we want to get in hugging range with Firestorm, but you don't want to actually hug them. Sometimes you do. You have a few really strong units, and I am going to be working on a video. I think that's going to be next, in fact, unless I do a battle report. But one way or another, Firestorm really wants to be close, within 12 inches. That's where you want to be. That's your comfort zone, and the whole list is designed around that. We have 6 different units with torrent weapons, and they're all +1 strength because of Firestorm. And of course, you have Vulkan, who can do the Forge Father ability, which gives you rerolls to wound with your torrent and Melta, which makes the Land Raider Redeemer really strong. It makes a lot of different things really strong. And so, anyways, it's a skew list, and it's designed to go well in teams to take out like really heavy infantry heavy lists. At least that was the theory. I'd never played in one of these events before, and so this is my list. Of course, we also have, it was on the Mercs team. They decided to call it No Man's Rams, which I don't know what the story is behind it, but they've decided to call it that when I was out. So we have a bunch of other people, but I didn't really know any of them. I knew Andy, if you can see the guy right beneath my name, and then the rest of them, I had met a couple of them, but for the most part, we all just didn't know each other. It was a mercenaries team. We were like, we want to play in the teams event and get XP in terms of how the whole thing operated and functioned, but we don't know each other, so we just went in with no expectations. We're going to all take our own lists. One of the things is you have to each take a different codex, And you can't just say, okay, I'm playing Salamanders, this guy's gonna play Imperial Fists. That doesn't work, because they're both Codex, like Space Marines Astartes. And in fact, you can't even take like Blood Angels on this in the same team because they're also Astartes. So anyone who plays Space Marines, I was the one guy who played Space Marines. We couldn't have like Space Wolves or Black Templars or anything. That was it. You also can only use models from a different codex one time, and so we kind of got slapped on the wrist one time because Andy, who's taking Imperial Knights, took Calidus Assassin, and Nathan, the guy who plays Grey Knights, took something else from Imperial Agents, and you can't do that. So that was a learning curve for us as well. But we've got 8 players, and we're all gonna do the best we can. So our first match was against, of course, we got paired with the Denver Fight Club, which are they're a bunch of they're nice people for sure. They're very serious. They take the game very seriously, which I mean I do too. So that's no shade on them. But you can see the mat that we used to get the pairings. If we zoomed in a little bit, you can see the different pictures for the different factions that were represented here. But so here's how it works, guys. And this isn't going to be an exhaustive thing to describe it, but just so you guys understand. So you're both sitting on either end of the table, and this is the center of the table that you can see. So both teams select a player on their team to be the defender, their defender, and so that they both put them down. You flip them over at the same time, and so we chose our defender was going to be Tau, and theirs was going to be Chaos Knights. just a spoiler for you guys. So anyways, at that point, when we saw that they had Chaos Knights, I don't remember actually what the 2 teams were that we selected to counter Chaos Knights. One of them was our Eldari player, and then I really don't remember who the other one was, which obviously that tells you that we ended up having Eldari fight their Chaos Knights. But and then they also selected 2 people to face our Tau. One of them was Astra Militarum, and so what ended up happening was of course, so the defender then, out of the 2 that they sent over to the two slots that hold on. So the defender then chooses between the 2 attackers which one that they want to choose, which one that they want to fight. And so the Eldar again, and they chose Eldar against Chaos Knights, and then, or maybe so they chose Eldar, and then we were able to get Tau into Imperial Guard. And then it kind of, then you just rinse and repeat, guys. Rinse and repeat till you get to the end. There is a little bit of different stuff that goes on there. Like you're selecting different tables with different types of terrain as well. And I ended up getting paired into Bully Boy Orcs, which I've never faced Orcs before. I also went on a light terrain board, which is not something I practiced on. I figured we were going to try to get me on the medium heavy as often as possible, and I don't think I played on medium heavy once this weekend, which is fine. It was a little unfortunate though. I'd never played on the light board. So anyways, I've never faced Orcs at all. I've tried to get a couple matches with them, and it just always fell through. And so I didn't know what to expect. You can see they have 5 different war bosses. They have 3 squads of mega knobs, a squad of knobs, a big squad of boys, battle wagons, trucks, all this stuff. They get a wog turn, all this stuff that I don't really know how it works. But we got to go into it, so let's make the best of it, shall we? And we were playing Take and Hold, which is not the best against an army I'm not that experienced with. You can get up to 15 victory points a turn, and it's tipping point. So that he left the Mega Knobs with a War Boss in Mega Armor, in reserves Deep Striking, Storm Boys, who are going to also be Deep Striking, and then I think Snickrot's here somewhere. I don't have an arrow pointed at it, but you can see where his different units are. I think we ended up having to back that battle wagon up just a little bit because it's a little too far up, but that happens. It happens. So you can see I kind of deployed a little defensively, not too much. I wanted to be able to push onto my objectives, but I knew I was going to have to, at some point, take out a huge number of very resilient boys. Now, when he pops the Wog, for those of you who don't know, he gets 2 Wogs in a row. When it happens, all of his guys get a bunch of stat increases. They get more attacks, they get more strength, maybe. I don't remember all the things that happen, but the biggest part of it is they can advance and charge, and they also get a 5-up invulnerable save and a 5-up feel no pain. And that feel no pain, I think that's just, does that just affect the knobs? I think that's how it works. So, unless they have a pain boy, they also have some commandos, which are infiltrators and stuff. They can't be overwatched, which is rough for my army, because it's an Overwatch army. You can see how I placed my guys. I have some Infernus in the back, kind of screening his guys. Some scouts who were on the objective, or close to it, kind of backed up. The Combi Lieutenant wanted to be within 6 inches of the center to make sure he couldn't have area denial, at least not the big one. And the jump pack intercessors with the chaplain, the van vets, all that stuff. We needed to screen him as well as we could with the jump intercessors. At least that was the plan, because I don't have enough scouts to fully screen them. And so you can see I used the jump pack intercessors to block his boys in the battle wagon. Now, this is something I didn't know, but he said it one time really quickly, but he did say it, so nothing on him, I guess. I just not just I guess. He said it, and I couldn't fathom the idea of like what would it look like. So his big mech lets his unit go through my units. So he rolled a really big advance. He pops his Wog on turn 2, pops his Wog, and he rolls a big advance. I think he got a 5, and he was able to get most of his boys out of the wagon and past my screen to the juicy insides where my Vanguard veterans are, which isn't great. It was not great in the slightest, in fact. Because I was counting on those Van Vets not being hit. I was sure he wasn't going to be able to get there. I was absolutely certain. And instead, he was able to charge them fairly easily. So you can see here that he had to like wrap the unit around my jump intercessor. So if I had screened a little bit differently, I would have just been able to shut him down anyways. But it didn't happen. It didn't work. So you can see the Van Vets. We got an arrow pointing at that. We have an arrow pointing at the orcs. And of course, we had a chance for him to fail his charge. He'd already used his CP on other things at this point, but he didn't fail his charge. I mean, I think he had to roll like a 6 or something, and he didn't fail it. So yep, he walked right through the screen, guys. Walked right through the screen, attacked and killed most of the Van Vets, which, I mean, they have hand flamers. I needed them. I needed them to kill things. I did Overwatch once, but it only killed like 6 boys. And that's not enough. It's not enough. He was able to kill most of them, and gosh, that was devastating. The jump pack intercessors, of course, got deleted. That was the design. I was sure they were going to. Ironically, the chaplain survived for some reason, but very, very awful turn for me. He was able to get into combat with the executioner as well. I just had no idea that the Vanguard vets could be hit, and I know that I keep saying that. It's a tricky thing, folks, when you're planning all of your turns in advance, and suddenly you just don't have a squad that you were like 100% sure was gonna still be there. It's a tricky thing to get over that. But my clapback has always been fairly good. I managed to kill the normal knobs, even in their WOG. I killed the knobs, I killed the mega knobs in the middle, and almost all the boys. I think they had 2 boys left, plus the big mech and the war boss. But he rolled some pretty spicy saves on him on top of all of this, and he was able to survive. I couldn't quite take all of them out. Bladeguard are out and exposed already. Not a really great turn for me. And at the end of the day, I had to keep playing. I had to play all the way through turn 5, even though it was a foregone conclusion that he wins. Like, it was already like, yeah, he's gonna win. But I needed to get as many points as I could for my team, and so I ended up getting a 53, and I was able to block him from getting 100. So the final score, you go in a team tournament, you turn the big scores into like kind of a ratio, and so he ended up getting an 18, and I got 2. There's 20 total points up for grabs, and so if I'd been able to score just a little bit more, maybe I could have gotten 3, and he would have gotten 17, for example. So I got a couple points for my team. Not my best showing, I will admit. Though, in my defense, I had no idea what he could do on some level. So, well, hard lessons to learn, I suppose, but hopefully we can rally. Ironically, if he hadn't rolled such a high level of advance, like, I don't think he could have gotten his guys past me. I think he needed a 5. In fact, I don't think there was a way for him to get to my Vanguard vets without having rolled a 5. I mean, he could have rolled a 6, and I need to do things better. I could have put my Van vets into a place that was better, but one way or another, I think I would have won this match, actually. If I had had my Vanguard vets that were fully operational, be able to jump up, use their flamers, and charge, even if they got deleted the next turn by more knobs, at least he wouldn't have gotten into the Van Vets. I would have been able to delete a full squad before they got taken out, and my Executioner would have been a lot better off. There was a lot of things that would have been so much better if I had been able to just use them, even for one turn, but it happens. You lose these kind of things, but I'll be able to screen better next time, at least that. And we ended up just, my 2 points made almost no difference. We only won 2 of our total 8 matches against our opponents, and we got a 49-111. Just a total blowout loss, which wasn't that unexpected, but kind of demoralizing, to be honest. So we lost, obviously, and it's time to regroup and prep for the next one. One nice thing about the team tournament is you're able to you're only playing 2 games a day, which is a really nice format because you have 4 hours to play each game, each match. So you have like an hour for pairings, which it doesn't take that long, but then you have all that extra time. Usually it's like 3.5 hours to be able to play your game, as opposed to most tournaments these days. It's like you get 2 hours and 40 minutes total, and you have to move at breakneck speed. You can kind of just take your time and play your game as quickly or slowly as you need. So we also have a lunch break, and so once pairings went up, we were all eating lunch together, and we were able to look at our opponents' teams. So they were the Cheesemen of the Apocalypse, and there were 2 of these teams. This one was the Gouda variety. And so as we were looking at their teams, we were like, okay, like my list has to kind of be fed good matchups in order to actually get high points, or I could try to blunt someone. That's kind of a strategy and get just a draw, while other people get high scores. But one way or another, if we wanted to have my personal list be able to do well, we would try to get me into like demons, maybe their Eldar. I could beat their. They also had the only other Firestorm list. They had a Firestorm list. I would have loved to play against Firestorm, in fact, just to see what they were like. But they also had a Death Guard army that I thought I could do okay against. It's kind of a risky thing, but I ended up getting played. I got paired against Chaos Knights, which is just armor, guys. That's all it is. It's just a ton of armor. Look at this. They have 2 Knight Rampagers, which are huge melee creatures. That's all it is. Their armor, they're tough 12. They don't really have guns. Like the guns that they have are like stubbers, not good at all. And then they just had 4 Brigands and 4 Carnivores. It's not what my list wants to face, ever. This is never what we want to face. So this was a dropped ball on our part, for sure. We're playing Linchpin in Search and Destroy, so table quarters. And you can see as he is carnivores, he's got a bunch of knights in the back that I couldn't really see that well. And he put his rampager, I can't talk, but his rampager and his carnivore into reserves. I don't think he could deep strike them. I'm pretty sure, but I spent a lot of time trying to screen him out, making sure that he just couldn't do anything. And so the infiltrators, of course, are holding our home objective, making sure he can't get any of his knights into my deployment zone. Of course, we've got the Land Raider, which almost didn't move this game. We've got jump pack intercessors, scouts, all the things, just trying to screen him. We've got Vulkan up top with his objective, and of course his objective is, when he's on his own objective, he's 10 OC, and he's got the Combi Lieutenant up there. That's a fairly important thing. That this was a really weird fight because whereas I had almost no ranged attacks, I could also just threaten his objectives, or all the objectives, including the middle, and he didn't really, if he got on onto the center, I would be able to probably mess with him pretty well. So he didn't want to go into the center, so all of our fighting was kind of fought on the periphery. You can see this is the only time, this is like after my turn 1, I believe, because I got first turn, and I got an objective that made me claim 2 different objectives. I think it was secure no man's land, and so I went and claimed it with 1 model with the jump pack intercessors, and otherwise we're just sitting here, guys. We're just chilling. This is the first and last time that we went into the center until turn 5. So he deleted all of the jump back intercessors with shooting, except for 1. I actually ended up getting 5 for holding the objective. He wasn't in range with his big knight to be able to charge them or anything, and so I was a little bit lucky in that regard, though I was kind of hoping he would be able to charge in with something and the Bladeguard could come out and counter him, or the Vanguard Vets, whatever, would be able to take him out one way or another. The Chaplain and the jump pack intercessors hid in the ruins because they were brave fellows. And up top, he did send a carnivore. Carnivores are their melee ones. There's the brigands are the shooty, small guys, and the carnivores are the guys who are good in melee. So the carnivore came in and he effed around and found out that Vulkan means business. He just used the Crucible stratagem, and the company heroes managed to in one round kill the carnivore. Maybe rolled a little well, I don't know. I don't think it was that much of an upset, to be honest. Though you can see in this photo, he's also landed his second big knight, and he's gonna send him into Vulkan as well. So, I mean, the game kind of just keeps going. He keeps trying to threaten my flanks, and I want to make sure that he scores as little as possible. So, up top, the Van Vets, or the Vulkan squad with the company heroes fought the big guy, and Vulkan lived, and the Combi Lieutenant lived, and so I had 10 OC on that objective for my own turn, and I had 11, he had 10, so that held. The Vanguard veterans went and fought an incursion of those commandos on the bottom there, and they would just fight for a long time. I think the Van Vets ended up getting killed eventually. They rolled fairly poorly, if I remember correctly. I remember feeling quite betrayed by them. But at the end of the day, the Bladeguard got out of the Land Raider and charged. They killed all the things that were over there. They injured the Brigand. I think he only had 4 hit points left, something like that. And he was able to walk out of combat because he passed his battle shock test. The one thing that I did well, I think I did a lot of things well here, but I think what happened was I managed to put, I knew he was going to try to get his big guy onto the center objective at the end of the game, so I put my Infernus Marines out there to overwatch him, and I wasn't trying to kill him, I just wanted him to fail a battle shock test on turn 5, because he scores at the end of turn 5 instead of the start, and so he had to take a battle shock test, he failed it, and the game ended. I ended up with 1 more point than him, but it didn't really matter. It ended up at 10-10, so we actually tied. we got the tie, I suppose. Which is actually fairly good. I mean, it doesn't look impressive. 10-10 looks like the worst thing ever, but it was a very challenging match. It's tough to beat List. He played a very cagey, and with all this toughness, all the speed, all the OC, like this is actually a very poor matchup for me. And to walk away with tie, I was pretty happy. And this would have been a win in singles, so not too bad, I suppose. So, for match 3, we went home. We knew we were facing the Springs Thundercluckers, which is a team from Colorado Springs, and this is a really tricky one for us as well, for me especially, because there was no team that I really wanted to face, because they had all heavy armor skews, like high toughness, stat check kind of armies that really none of them were things that I could play into with a high degree of success, which is an interesting strategy. If your whole team does that, then you're bound to get a couple good matchups. They were all very vehicle heavy, so I ended up getting into Tyranids, which wasn't a terrible thing. Of course, it's Crusher Stampede, and they have the whole only big creatures you can see here, guys. So the Hive Tyrant, the Nero Tyrant, Death Leaper, all these guys are high toughness, Norn Emissary, Maleceptors, Exocrines, Tyrannofexes. All of these things are very challenging to beat. I can, with all my flamers and stuff, like they're kind of just wasted against this. Like a lot of my list is just not that usable into these kind of creatures. So these creatures have high OC as well until I hurt them, and then they just hit on better values. It's kind of a nightmare. Crusher Stampede is a fairly poor matchup for me as well. So yeah, let's see how we. Here we are. So lots of big models here, folks. I'm not gonna point out exactly what they all are. He kept a couple in reserves, and that didn't really come into play though. So the big thing here was he put his Norn onto his objective, and the Norn on an objective is a very challenging fellow to shift because he's got extra feel no pain, he's got protection against mortal wounds, he's got 15 OC while he's on there, he's tough, 11 or 12, it's very challenging to beat. Had to take out, and they also killed my Executioner right away. Tyrannofex just one shot it. Boom, he's dead. Really tragic, really sad, but we still gotta try to beat it. The one nice thing was he didn't put an Exocrine or anything really great right next to the Norn, and so it kind of gave me like an open license to go in and just charge him with Bladeguard and Jump Pack Intercessors. I rolled fairly poorly and didn't quite kill him. He was left on 1 wound left, but he probably won't survive for super long. At least that was what I was hoping. And then the Vanguard Vets were able to, I kept them in reserve actually, they deep struck, they were able to get the charge, they got kind of lucky, but they did kill the Nero Tyrant with their Flamers, where they used Immolation Protocols to be able to get mortal wounds on him, and then they charged the Maleceptor, and I thought that I was fairly sure to kill the Maleceptor, and he rolled fairly well on saves. I rolled fairly poorly on everything else, and the Maleceptor had like 2 wounds left. So kind of a sad, tragic turn for me, because yes, the Nero Tyrant is gone, but didn't quite kill the Norn or the Exocrine, which I kind of needed to in a lot of ways. The Tyrant did charge in to save the Norn, but it didn't work because the Norn still died. There's an Exocrine up top that charged Jump Pack Intercessor that I hadn't realized was still in the building. That was my bad. He was just out of my sight. So we got a really easy charge, but the Bladeguard were able to kill the Tyrant as well. Vulkan was able to tag one of the Tyrannofexes that got too close. Tyrannovex, apparently, is how I spelled it. And the Land Raider, dude, the Land Raider plus Vulkan is just such a potent, ridiculous mix. And with it being able to re-roll his wound rolls against the Tyrannofex, even though he's toughness 12, the Land Raider is able to wound on 5s because it's Firestorm and you're +1 strength, so strength 7 on those cannons, and just killed the Tyrannofex. And the Multi-Melta was also able to reroll wounds. So between those guys, I think I had a couple of my Eradicators that were able to shoot, managed to kill it, killed the Maleceptor as well, and so the Norn died, Maleceptor died, Tyrannofex died, all in the same battle round, I believe. And then at some point there was an Exocrine that wandered a little too close to the Land Raider, and the Land Raider, full of confidence from having killed the Tyrannofex, also in Overwatch managed to kill the Exocrine because the Multi-Melta was able to hit one time, and then the Firestorm cannons also just destroyed the stupid hapless creature. So, wonderful thing. And meanwhile, Vulkan was able to steal his home objective. The momentum was certainly in my favor at this point. I think he killed the Bladeguard at some point, but I was definitely going in my direction, and I ended up with a win. 11-9, which was a pretty strong win for me. Later revealed by one of their teammates that this was a matchup that they were really hoping for, that there was this kind of a trap for me. They wanted to, they were kind of counting on their, like this guy was one of their best players, and he was able to, well, they were thinking he would be able to just take me out and get a really big win, and that was going to kind of be where most of their points came from. It didn't end up working like that, though. I think they ended up winning anyways, which is kind of depressing. But yeah, they got the win, and what's a man to do? Just I guess just take it. So they got the win. We got paired against the other Cheeseman army, and we're not going to go into this one. I only took one picture because I got paired. Finally, we were hoping I'd get paired into Genestealer cults, because that's a list that this list can take on with all my flamers and everything. It's just really not a kind list. All the flamers and the vehicles are tough for them to beat because of high toughness and everything. And the game was over in an hour. We went and got a beer, and I ended up getting 15 on that. So that was, we finally got, I got 3 wins. One of them only counted as a draw. One of them counted as minor win, 11-9, and then finally I got a kind of bigger win at 15-5, which was nice. I think we ended up drawing against these guys, but it was still nice. I finally got the win, and I kind of felt bad. Jameson is a nice dude. He doesn't deserve what the Salamanders do to Genestealer cults, but anyways, I ended up, this was fun. Hold on a second. This is a fun event. I can see why people like this format a lot. There's a lot of planning here. If that's something you enjoy doing, then trying to figure out all the different iterations of teams that you guys can take, all the different overall strategy, what kind of pairings you're looking for. So if they put a Chaos Knight list forward, who are you going to have challenge it? And you don't want to put someone that's weak against it, or your opponent's going to pounce. And so there's just an additional level of strategy to it. So it's a lot of fun. It's also fun to just have teammates to root for. Like, yes, I'm so glad you did well, as opposed to, oh, you're kind of a threat to me in this singles tournament. Like, I hope you do well in general, but I kind of hope you lose right now, because I don't want to have to face you, kind of situation. Yeah, there's a lot of planning here. It's a fun event. It really is. It was so relaxed. Only 2 games per day is amazing for a team tournament, or for any kind of tournament. And I'm happy with how I did, folks. Obviously, the scores didn't really look that impressive. A draw really just looks pretty lame. But, I mean, it took a lot to get there. The being able to beat the Tyrannid player, a really nice guy, by the way, really, really awesome opponent, and being able to beat him was, I thought, was really strong. I thought it was good. I know I'm bragging a little bit. I don't know. I felt accomplished or something. And then I was able to beat the Gene Stealer cults. Finally got into someone who my list was kind of designed to beat. I think my list is honestly not going to be that powerful in a teams event. I think for the most part, people plan their other lists to be able to resist the nonsense that I'm able to perpetrate. So anyways, one thing I did notice here, and it's just kind of something I've been looking back at, the games that I've lost a lot in, have been ones where my opponents did something that I just didn't fathom was possible, where I wasn't able to account for that in my planning, and it just kind of made everything go to shambles. And so, I mean, I think that that's just an experience issue. I still haven't played all the different factions. I haven't played against orcs at all, and their Big Mech being able to go through my jump pack intercessors, even though he told me about it, it was just tough for me to fathom that was what it was going to look like. And so, whereas I don't think he was trying to do a gotcha, it was just, it ended up being that anyways, kind of, because I just had no notion that was something I could, I mean, I could have screamed so differently if I had known that was how it was going to be. And it's fine that it ended up being like that. Like I said, nothing against my opponent. We gotta guard against that, right? And it's good to see where your blind spots are. So, anyways, let's talk about what the next events are that I'm gonna be going to. I have something scheduled for the start of the new year. I'm gonna go to a Rogue Trader in Laramie. Right away, and then so 3 consecutive weekends we'll be going to tournaments, and I'll have an Instagram account by then so that you guys can have updates after each round. At least I'm gonna try to do that. Denver Fight Club. We have the January Open toward the start of January as well, and that's the lead in to going to Las Vegas Open, which is a super major tournament, the biggest tournament in the world currently for 40k. Really excited to go there. Obviously don't expect to do that well there, but excited to give it my best shot anyways. And then surprisingly, not in any kind of negative way, but it's exciting, in Laramie, Wyoming, the Warhammer guys are going to have a GT, which is something I would have loved so much back when I was playing all the tournaments, all that I could way back in like 5th and 6th edition when I lived in Laramie way back then. So there's a couple links in the video description to, I think, the Rogue Trader tournament and the January Open, so you guys can go check those out if you want. You can follow along, but I'll be putting out a few more videos here pretty shortly. Let me know what your thoughts are, guys. Please, if you haven't liked or commented, subscribed, any of those things would, like I said at the start of the video, would mean a lot to me. And I'm going to leave you here, guys. So thank you all so much for watching. And remember that if you didn't hear it from me, it's probably heresy. Take care, folks.